What up, y'all? Welcome back to another edition of Money Mondays. And today's topic is going to get under some people's skin. I already know it, and I apologize in advance, but it's the truth. And if you listen to this, I guarantee you that it will help you build a more profitable, more scalable business as you move forward, if you can implement this into your business model. And here's the topic. You do not have a real business unless you have systematic continuity. Say that one more time. You do not have a real business until you have systematic continuity. So let me explain what I mean by this. A lot of people now have coaching businesses, consulting businesses. They have these businesses that are product launch businesses, right? You see this a lot with these apparel companies. They'll build up a big personal brand, and then they'll have t-shirt drops or apparel drops and pop-up shops and all these other things, right? To me, these are not real businesses. Let me explain to you why. Because if you take out one of two things, sometimes both, if you take out the face of the brand and you take out these massive product launches, you have no money. You have no money, right? Let me say that again. If you have a business where you can take out the face of the personal brand, or you can take out a product launch event, and then your money goes away, it's not a real business. So let's think about this for a second. Let's say I have a coaching program. It's a high ticket coaching program, $10,000, $20,000 for the coaching. And the way that I sell it is I have these free online challenges, summits, free online events, whatever you want to call it. And I give a lot of value over 4 or 5 days. And then I pitch these people a high ticket product at the end of it. And I get people to come to the free summit from my Instagram, my personal brand. And then once people are at the summit, then I sell them on this coaching program. And it's a one and done coaching program. So it's a 12-month mastermind. And of course, if you decide to renew, then phenomenal. But other than that, it's a 12-month mastermind and then we're done, right? Start point, finish point for your product, which is what your product should have, rightfully so, right? And so if that is my business, and this is very, very common in today's personal brand day and age, right? Especially where everybody's a coach, a consultant, an author, and what have you. And so what's going to happen here is if I take away your Instagram or your LinkedIn or whatever personal brand traffic source you have, big YouTube channel, whatever. If I take away your personal brand, if I say, you know what, if I'm just the business god and I come into your business and I say, okay, Mr. CEO, you're fired, you have to go away. Your personal brand is no longer relevant. None of your social media accounts are relevant. And we're going to plug in somebody that the world has never heard of. Some corporate CEO who's been behind the scenes for the last 40 years. And no one's ever heard of this guy, but he's a really good operator. We're going to plug him in to your spot and we're going to continue with things as normal. If your lead flow cuts off because you didn't have an email list, you didn't have ads, you didn't have sustainable organic creative, you didn't have a machine that was consistently creating more leads for you, or a system that was consistently creating more leads for you, it was just your personal brand and it was riding on your reputation, it was riding on your notoriety, it was riding on your ability to use these platforms and not get kicked off, then all of a sudden your lead flow goes away. Well, that's not a real business. It has no enterprise value. You can't sell it to an investor because what private equity firm is going to come in and say, okay, I'm going to buy your business even though I know that as soon as you're out and it's not attributed or associated with you anymore, then all of my leads completely go away. And I'm going to have to build this thing from the ground up using what brand name, what company loyalty, and I'm going to have to build it up under a completely new personal brand. That doesn't make sense, right? So nobody's going to ever buy that business. But let's take this a step further. Let's say that for some reason, somehow, we're able to, you did a good job building it. And it's not necessarily correlated to your name or your personal brand, but it's correlated to the company brand, the business name. That's what people have gotten to know and love. And they've known you as the face of it, but we've got a good succession plan in place and we can phase you out, phase somebody else in, build trust authority, credibility with the new guy, and everything's going to be fine. We've got an email list. We've got some automated lead generation techniques that are going on. We've got some organic creative that's being made by people other than you, and we've got the lead gen part taken care of. Cool. So we can take you out of there. We can plug a new face of the brand in. Phenomenal. But then we still have this issue where it is a product launch business where we have to get people in a room and we have to pitch them something, and then they have to buy something. And then once they're done using the something that we sold them, then they're just gone. Not a real business. Why? Because if you decide to stop having these events, or the private equity firm that came and bought you out decides that they don't want to have these events anymore, they don't want to always constantly be launching new funnels, launching new products, launching new iterations of the product you already have, launching new different little streams of revenue. If they decide that they don't want to constantly be pitching new stuff to the audience that's coming in on this side, what's going to happen is you literally have no sustainable revenue, okay? And anybody who knows about the private equity world, you know that businesses are bought and sold based on the amount of recurring revenue. So here's how much the business makes every single year. We're gonna sell it at a multiple of that, because investors do not care about your business. Investors do not care that you're trying to save the planet and feed the homeless and everything else. Like, those are all great things. Don't get me wrong. Don't take my poking fun at this as insensitivity. Those are all phenomenal things to associate your business with, great causes, etc. But an investor does not care. The investor who's going to buy you out, or the bigger company who's going to buy you out, they care about the consistent stream of cash flow. They're thinking, okay, here's something that does $1 million a year. I'm willing to pay $4 million for it, because in 4 years I will have made my money back, and hopefully I will build this into something that will continue to make more money, right? Even with the absence of the owner operator who used to be in place. So if you have a launching business where you're constantly having to, this is the way that I refer to it. I say, if you got to hit a lick every quarter on your audience, that's not cool. Like, if you have to just throw something at your audience and beg them to buy it, if you have to pitch something new every quarter to survive as a business, that's not a real business. So you've got to get to a point where you have systematic continuity. What do I mean by that? Continuity meaning, okay, cool, you've got this high ticket upfront program. Well, what about after the high ticket upfront program? You downsell the upsell. So they just spent 20 grand with you. Let's pitch them something for $1,000 a month. In their mind, they think it's cheap, even though it's really an upsell, but comparative to what they just bought, it actually looks cheaper. But now we've got them on a month-to-month contract, right? And then maybe we do another downsell that's $500 a month. Maybe we have a low ticket community for $47 a month, like whatever it is. But we build this system where we have leads that come in automatically no matter what. I've got a team that does creative organic. They know how to post it. They know how to edit it. I've got somebody in place who's able to be the voice of it. I've got an AI voice to it. Does not matter. But I've got a formula for creative organic that's getting me leads, or I've got a paid ads formula that works. I know the targeting and I know how to get leads in the door. Great. That's a machine that consistently generates leads that are more profitable on a lifetime value basis, meaning the leads that come in are worth more to you over the lifetime of their relationship with your company than it takes for you to get them in the door. Because of course it's going to cost money to get any kind of customer acquisition cost is always going to be a thing. So it's lower consistently than your lifetime value of your customers. So if we've got that machine going predictably, consistently, and it's not predicated on the face of one person, then that's one side of the equation solved. Once we've got them in, because here's the thing, theoretically that would be enough, because as long as you can generate more new customers profitably, then you could always just go get more new customers. The problem is eventually markets get saturated, client pools dry up, etc., and ad costs increase over time no matter what. There's always things that are changing, right? iOS, whatever it was that screwed up all the Facebook ads, something like that happens, and then now you're screwed. So that's not enough. What you also need, if you ever want to have enterprise value or ever sell your business, is you've got to have some sort of continuity where we say, okay, great, we do these launches and we have these $1 million days and we have these $5 million days and weekends and everything else. Phenomenal. But you've got to have something where no matter if you work or not, if you get out of bed that day or not, if you decide to host an event or not, or host a webinar or not, or host a summit or a challenge or not, you're still getting paid. And you're still getting paid, preferably, enough on your continuity alone that you are covering payroll, ad costs, and the overall expenses of your business. When you get to the point where your continuity revenue, outside of any product launch revenue, when your continuity revenue exceeds your day-to-day fixed operating expenses, you are in a very, very good place. Now, here's where you know you are in a place that is just like elite level, where we're good. We don't have to stress about this. We can sell the business if we want to, tons of enterprise value, etc. If you have both of these things, right, not attached to a face or a personal brand, and we have continuity, so systematic continuity, if you can get to a point where you are acquiring customers faster than you are losing people, specifically on the continuity side, right? Most of the businesses we're talking about, if we're thinking info products, if we're thinking coaching, if we're thinking masterminds, et cetera, most of these have honestly kind of poor retention, okay? A lot of people drop in and out of these programs every single year, and if it's a month-to-month thing, then every single month. So if we're at a point where we're getting this machine that we built over here for lead gen, if it is getting more leads or more customers, I shouldn't say leads, more converted leads, so more customers in a given month than we lose from just the continuity portion, none of the other arms of the business, then you're in a good spot, because now we know that my consistent revenue, the revenue that will always be there, the revenue that is not predicated on me working that day, that is not predicated on me getting on stage and pitching and selling and everything else, that revenue is going to continue growing in a systematic and predictable way. When you can set that up, that is how you know you have a real business. It's a business that is viable. It is a business with enterprise value. It is a business that will outlast you or me or anybody else when you can accomplish that. So I don't think you got a real business unless you have that one thing, systematic continuity. We're going to go into a lot more videos on this channel later on about how we can actually build that, the different strategies, long-term strategies for lead gen, for that systematic lead gen, as well as for high retention rates in your continuity programs. We're going to go into a lot more detail as we expand this channel and really dive into some legit teaching here. But I just want to set the stage with that, because I think that understanding that philosophy is the most important thing when we're starting out, because so many people, you know, you get a little Instagram following, you start pitching these $5,000 coaching products, you're halfway decent at sales, you get people on a sales call and you start being able to do that, and your mind goes to, keep doing this, right? And of course that's how we have to start and that's how we have to build. But until we shift the mindset of it's just not enough for me to be hustling my way to 7 figures or 8 figures, we've got to get to a point where we are building machines and systems that are able to do this, whether I'm putting in the work or not, whether I've gotten a player in my seat or not. That's when we really start to think about, how do I build a business as a CEO, as an enterprise innovator, compared to somebody who's just hustling on the internet making a couple dollars, right? And once you have that mindset shift, then you start to play with the big boys. And it's funny because you can look around and see who is capitalizing on the attention they got on TikTok and Instagram versus who the Gary V's and Grant Cardones are of the world, who, yeah, they did the same thing and they capitalized on it, but then they turned it into a business that has such a long tail of lifetime value for each and every customer and has such a systematic approach to getting more and more and more people in the door, that those are the companies that become legit. Like, those are legitimate companies. Those are going to be the AT&Ts and the Geicos of the next generation. Whereas a lot of these, you know, social media influencers, they're going to get a couple $1,000,000 real quick. They're going to blow through it and you're never going to hear from them again, because they knew what to do, but they didn't know why they were doing it. And so they're not going to be able to pivot when times change, when ad costs rise. You got to build these things right if you want it to be sustainable. So that is my sermon for the day. I'll get off my soapbox, I promise you. But as always, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's continue the conversation below in the comments. And if you found value in this video, please do me a huge favor and just share this with somebody else that you believe would get some value from this as well. Of course, it helps us, helps the channel, helps us with our mission, with what we're trying to do, help all of you level up. But I truly believe that when each and every person can fulfill their full potential and actualize what God has given them and their gifts and their potential to build not only a business, but a life, I believe that that's how we make the world a better place, one person at a time. So do me a huge favor, share this with somebody that's going to get some benefit from it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.